Let's talk about 9 beginner-friendly and realistic freelance jobs with relatively low barriers to entry today, and I'll share what I recommend from my experience. And now to start and to clarify, what I mean by beginner-friendly and low barrier is that 1, it's relatively easy to get into in terms of lack of requirements or prerequisites. These are not highly technical jobs where you need a lot of experience or training or specific qualifications to do it. And 2, it's not expensive to get into it. You don't need expensive tools or software to operate these types of freelance roles. And what I mean by realistic online job is that 1, it will not take years to make a decent income off of it, like YouTube or blogging. I have no idea why people talk about blogging or YouTube or even like affiliate marketing when they talk about easy online jobs. Like, they're lying to you. Blogging and YouTube take a long time and a lot of effort to even see an ROI. And 2, by realistic, I mean it's not high risk. So you can realistically expect to make money with this service almost right away. I have no idea why people talk about things like drop shipping as a beginner job if it sounds too easy to be true, which in the case of drop shipping, it is. And 3, it is long term. So I won't be talking about doing like one-off small task type of things like taking surveys or testing websites. That kind of stuff is not going to be covered in this video. Hey, my name is Dea, freelancer, digital business manager, most recently entrepreneur, and as always, you can find sections on the play bar below if you want to skip to a certain part of the video. Your time is precious, take what you need, and if you want to watch this on 2x, I will not be offended in the least. I only watch myself on 2x. Okay, let's dive into the video. So to give you a bit of context, here's the story of my first beginner-friendly online freelance job and why I think these are so essential to freelancer growth. When I first got started freelancing online, I had no online work experience, I had no network, no highly specialized technical skill sets. I couldn't code, I wasn't like a fantastic copywriter or anything like that. I also had no portfolio and no testimonials. I had a pretty tight budget because I was a corporate intern at the time, so I also didn't have much money to invest in starting up something or buying equipment or software or anything like that. I did have a degree, I want to disclose that and check my privilege. It wasn't relevant for working online, but nonetheless it was there and I'm grateful that I had it. But yeah, essentially I got started online as an admin and content assistant. I have a whole detailed video about how I got started online that I'll link in the top right corner, but I'll really credit that first role as a content assistant back in 2016 with everything that followed. My growth into a freelance digital business manager position, scaling my hourly rates like by 5 times, being able to travel full time, being location independent, and of course eventually hitting all my financial and freedom goals. So that first step I took, that first beginner job, is the most important step I've ever taken. So I thought that's why this video would be so fun to talk about, is those beginner friendly, get your foot in the door, first step kind of roles today. Now, before we dive into it, I want to issue a disclaimer, a reality check, if you will. I always want to give you the full picture, the complete picture. I want to give you the good and the bad, because one of my biggest pet peeves in the online space is when people say stuff like, oh, this is get rich quick or get rich easy, like overnight you'll see success, blah, blah, blah. Like, I find that super annoying because I think it sets people up for failure when you sell them this sense of easiness, but don't prepare them for the realities of some of these get rich quick types of things. Okay, so first of all, there's no such thing as get rich quick or get rich easy. Everyone is looking for this like magical ingredient solution that will, help you get rich tomorrow. There isn't one. There are lots of things that will help you get started quick, and there are a lot of things that will help you get rich slow, but regardless, they will all require work. And I mean, I get it. Like, I find myself also slipping into the get rich quick mindset sometimes, but you really have to pull yourself out of that because it's not productive or fair to yourself to operate with those expectations. And it took me a long time to learn that. So here are 2 notes on low barrier freelance jobs to keep in mind. Number 1, just because it's low barrier doesn't mean it won't require work. You will have to make a time commitment to it and stay consistent to actually see results. Like everything else in life, you can't sit around and wait for clients to show up. You can't apply to 2 jobs and then call it a day and say it didn't work. Second, these low barrier jobs are mostly lower paid, and that's an important distinction to remember because they are lower barrier. More people are offering those services, aka there's more supply compared to demand. That's just market economics, and sometimes that drives the price of these services down. So that's just something to keep in mind. So my best advice when it comes to this is do not see this job as a forever thing unless you want to. Treat it as a stepping stone, so treat it as a way to get started, to begin developing skills and experience, to dive into this world, to begin getting to know clients and business owners who may refer you to higher paid work, or other people promote you within their team. All of that happened for me personally, which is why I'm talking about this, once I just got started. You will grow your skills, your experience, which in turn you can then use to grow your rates, which in turn then you can use to grow your freedom. So treat these jobs as first step jobs, if you would like. Now let's dive into these 9 beginner-friendly freelance jobs. So I honestly think that becoming an assistant in anything online is the easiest way to get started with online. And if you're thinking, I'm not qualified to do that, I don't know how to do that, oftentimes, from my experience, you don't even have to worry too much about knowing 100% how to do the task. A business owner is not looking for you to have some like groundbreaking tactic or strategy for doing a task. They're just looking for extra time. They're busy. They don't have time, so they're paying you to help them save their time. You just have to commit to the time commitment you're giving them, be willing to figure it out, self-study via Google, and be really diligent about this whole process. So let's go through some specific examples, types of assistants you can work as, and I'll share what you could offer as services for like that role, examples, and who exactly needs these services. And for some of them, I'll even share how I would get started with that assistant if I were starting over today, essentially. So first up, a social media assistant. What to offer? Help with creating graphics for Instagram using Canva, help with writing captions, help with scheduling things into a scheduler, help with social media strategy, help with research, like even going through Instagram and trying to see what is doing well for other people in this person's niche and trying to pull out some cool things that this person could do. Who needs this? Any business that is actively using social media or wants to be using it, which is most businesses nowadays if they want to have an organic traffic strategy. How to get started with this? I would look up small businesses that you know are doing relatively well. For example, book authors that are bestsellers, Etsy shop owners who are selling quite well. You can always see how much they've sold and everything. Course creators who have bigger audiences or hundreds of students and who have a lacking presence on a social media platform that would work well for their target audience. Pitch them why they need to be on that platform, how it ties back to their business goals, aka how will it help them make more money, a first 30-day plan, or a one-time project you could help them with to get going, like a one-time setup project. 2, a community assistant. Here what you can offer is you can offer to help with creating engaging posts for a community, for moderating the community posts and comments, for hosting events for the community. Who needs this? Who I would recommend targeting is any business that has a monetized community on Slack, Circle, Mighty Networks, Facebook. I say monetize because it will be easier to get somebody to pay you if their community is generating profit for them as well, because there are a lot of free Facebook groups out there. It doesn't mean that the owner is making any money off of this community, so try to target people who have monetized communities first. Third, a blog assistant. This is actually something that I did when I first got started for sure. So services you can offer here is help with coming up with blog ideas, help with outlining or doing research, uploading blog posts to WordPress, formatting them, creating promotional graphics to promote them, publishing them. Who needs this? Anyone wanting to prioritize monetization of a blog, so someone who's taking blogging seriously, so not a hobby blogger, someone who is consistently creating content and has been at it, I would say, for at least 6 to 12 months. And really, like, think about all the niche blogs out there. Some of them are 6 and 7 figure businesses. They do not run those blogs by themselves. Like, my secret dream client has always been a food blogger, and more specifically a dessert blogger. So look up a list of 20 to 30 niche bloggers, like food bloggers, that are mid-sized, so not massive followings. And normally what I do when I check like followings is I just go to Instagram and see how big they are. And I try to find mid-sized people, so not people who have like hundreds of thousands of followers, not even more than I would say 50,000. I would try to aim for lower than 50,000 and more than a couple thousand, just so they're at a place where they might be taking the blogging seriously because they are close to monetization. And then pitch them your time and services. Pitch them how you can make their lives easier. And most importantly, always tie it back to how their business will succeed and make more money by investing in you, right? Not just like, I'll help you do XYZ. That's more of the features of your service. You want to focus on the benefits. When I take these things off your plate, you will be able to, write more or create more content. You will be able to go and do more collaborations. You will be able to do more brand sponsorships. You will make more money because you're giving me some of these smaller things that you don't need to be working on necessarily. 4, TikTok assistant. If you like TikTok, do this. This one I'm even thinking of hiring for. Like, I really want to find somebody good, and I don't know where to find them. I don't know who's doing this. I don't know who is niched in this. I can't find somebody good. So like tasks, real examples from a business owner of what I would want to offload are things like content research. So I mean, dream job, like whenever I'm on TikTok scrolling, I'm like, I'm doing content research. So, you know, coming up with ideas by doing research on TikTok, helping me with writing scripts, editing, publishing, responding to comments. Who needs this? Every business owner who wants to prioritize TikTok but literally doesn't have time or doesn't want to figure it out. For me, I just don't have time. Like, I understand TikTok because I am a avid TikTok user. Like, I'm afraid to check my screen time because of TikTok, but I just don't have time and I don't want to be in charge of it. I would love to have an assistant who just comes to me and is like, hey, I saw this cool trend, we could do this. What about this? Like, here's the script. You can record this. This is what you have to record. Just send it to me and I'll put it together and I'll upload it to TikTok. That's my dream. And I know so many business owners who are now recognizing the potential of TikTok for their business and really want to get in right now. So this could be a great thing to do. So what I would do is I would find a few business owners whose topics you think could really do well on TikTok. Maybe they've tried TikTok, maybe they're really active on Instagram. Pitch them with a few ideas, like for example, get specific, like share, hey, I noticed you're not on TikTok. May I ask why? Like, here are a few ideas that I think would do so well for you on TikTok. You know, give them specific, like maybe 2 or 3 ideas. You know, pitch them a trial project. Like, I'd love to help you develop 5 to 10 TikToks, and then after that we can see if we're both happy. If we are, we can continue, but obviously no pressure. And really, really always make sure to emphasize the impact it could have on their business, right? Not just like, I'm gonna help you create TikToks, but the value of TikTok. How can that organic traffic channel bring people to their website, bring people to purchase their products, bring people over to use their services, all of that stuff. Remember to always tie it to what a business owner cares about, which is not TikTok, but the impact that it could have on their business. 5th, YouTube assistant. I did this early on as well. I worked for a YouTuber and I helped them with all kinds of things. So things you could do include doing research on content ideas, keyword research, helping me outline scripts for content, helping with light editing if you want to get into editing, or publishing, creating promotional graphics, making thumbnails, using templates. Who needs this? Any business owner that wants to prioritize YouTube as an organic growth channel, which is a lot of business owners now that paid media is less effective. I have been burned by paid media, and that is why I am prioritizing YouTube so much right now. There's this one YouTuber that I actually love and I watch all the time. She has been talking about hiring an assistant to help her for months. I've been hearing her talk about how she needs an assistant, how she really wants help with uploading stuff, with like doing some ideas and all this stuff, and she has not been able to find one. So how to get started, I would aim for YouTubers with at least 10,000 subscribers and are posting regularly, and you can tell they're taking it seriously as a channel, and potentially have some income to invest into hiring. Or 2, search for business owners that you think would do really well on YouTube as a traffic, and use it as a traffic source. And pitch them what you could go and set up for them as a one-time project and why they need to be on that platform while tying it again to their goals. Make it easy for them. As much as possible, whenever I was pitching, I was always pitching something that was low risk for them to try out, like a trial project, obviously paid, like a very small, like, let's just give this a try, see if we're a good fit for each other, and make it easy for them to say yes. You've already done the you've already done the one thought, you've already done the thinking for them. You're like, here it is, you just have to say yes, and I'll do this for you, and then we'll see if it works. You know, we'll see if you like it, we'll see if you see the potential of it, that kind of stuff. 6, PR assistant. You can offer services like pitching people to podcasts, pitching to journalists, pitching to publications. Who needs this? Any business that wants to prioritize features and news articles to grow their credibility. Any business that wants to work on organic partnerships to drive traffic. Many business owners are looking for this as well. All right, so outside of being a specialized assistant, which was really all of the examples we just briefly went over, what else can you do? The first one, you could be a generalized virtual assistant. That's also really popular right now. That is kind of the one of the easiest ways to get started working online that I would recommend if you are lacking in experience, is just be an assistant and be open to helping this business owner with whatever that they need, that you can learn, that you can figure out. Everything I mentioned before is kind of like more specialized, which I think is sometimes easier because you can just focus on convincing them the value of that one thing. With a virtual assistant, you might have too many services that the business owner might not know exactly how to best utilize your skill set. So that's just something to keep in mind. But you can be a generalized virtual assistant that offers a range of services, everything I mentioned, a mix, that's totally possible. You can pick and choose. That's a great thing for sure. And this can really just be any and all administrative help. You can offer things like email management, calendar management, scheduling, taking notes during meetings, data entry, research. Yeah, it's like miscellaneous day-to-day stuff, but super, super helpful for a very busy business owner. Now, the great thing about starting as an assistant, honestly, is that it can be a really easy way to work up within a small team. And it's relatively a low-risk way to learn because you get to kind of see the behind-the-scenes process of how everything works and get familiar with it while you're not really in charge of everything. You're kind of like in charge of your thing, but you can see how everything else works. That's how I got started as a content assistant and grew into a content manager, and from there grew into project management, and then finally ultimately digital business manager, my final involvement where I was managing all aspects of the business. And I really credit that to the privilege of being able to work as an assistant and see behind the scenes and how it all kind of worked together. So this is a great first step and learning opportunity. I would also call these very high growth potential jobs. So don't feel like you will have to do these forever. It's really just a good way to test out and get started and then see which direction you might want to pivot off to. Next, you could do customer support, right? Services you can offer include like answering customer support questions and concerns via email or help chat. Who needs this? Any business with a high volume of customer questions. Tech and software companies have high volume. 6- and 7-figure businesses almost always need customer support help as well. There are both part-time, full-time customer support gigs. I would look up job postings that are remote on company hiring websites or Indeed or LinkedIn and go from there. And finally, transcription. I have to mention this one. I wrote transcription lull in my notes. It's basically taking video or audio and typing it into words. This is a low barrier job for sure. I have to say it's not an absolute ideal job, but I do want to include it. I did try offering this when I first got started. It is way more work than people think, but yes, this really just requires your time and your typing skills. Some websites that hire for transcription help all the time include like rev.com, GotTranscript, TranscribeMe. I'll link them below. So which one of these roles sound the most interesting to you? Let me know in the comments below and I'll give you the first step to working towards that role. All right, as always, thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, bye.